and a live stream. We've been doing live streams all day. We started early this morning from Japan. Now we moved to Las Vegas. We did Inoue Nakatani. It was a good solid live stream this morning. And here we are to do the live stream for the Benavidez Ramirez fight. And first, we're going to do the co-feature. They're walking in the ring now. Munguia Resendiz. The first thing I want to say is that it's been a heck of a day of fights. A lot of, there's a song that says love is in the air. Punches were in the air all day in the UK, in Japan, in Las Vegas. This card now, as I say, the co-features getting in the ring with Munguia and Resendiz. There were 3 fights prior to this that were all good, solid fights. Just a lot of action today. I know there's, a lot of pollen in the air, but I didn't realize there was that much pugilism, if you will, in the air. So let me set up, before I introduce my son, who's going to be doing the commentary with me. I want to welcome everybody. Glad to have you guys. We had a good crowd this morning. Hope everybody's joining us again tonight. This morning was breakfast with boxing, and tonight, later in the evening, you guys could relax and maybe have a little bit of a cold alcoholic beverage, a beer or something, if you want. Although it is a little bit late now, maybe a glass of wine. But no eggs and breakfast for this one. This one is, as usual, late at night. The setup for the Munguia, the former world champion, very experienced, much more experienced than Resendiz. Not only much more experienced with the amount of professional fights, but he's fought the better competition. The thing is, he's only 1 fight removed from being knocked out in a surprise fight with Sirachi. I mean, a shocking upset. And I always talk about 75% of this game is mental. He had the 1 fight back where he revenged the loss since then. But is he all the way back mentally? That's the question. Is he? You can see in that fight back, he was a little tentative. And he got better as the fight went on. Is he all the way back mentally? And the opposite in the mental area. I'm not worried about Resendiz. Matter of fact, I think he's a big dog in this fight, but he's a live dog because he's coming off the biggest win of his career against the former world champion in Plant. Now, look, it was a shop-worn Plant, no doubt about it, but still, it was his biggest win. He's in a good place mentally. Is Munguia in a good place mentally? To me, that's the X factor. To me, that's what's hovering over this fight because the class is Munguia. A little faster, a little bit bigger, a little bit more power. But both of them are similar in approaches, similar in style, similar in temperament. They both like to be aggressive. Munguia, the last fight, he boxed a little bit more, coming off the knockout loss. He was a little more cautious, a little bit more responsible, more controlled. He used his jab well. Then he warmed up a little bit. And he does have a good jab, Munguia, and I think that could be the difference. And I think his hands are a little bit faster. And as I said, he's the much more experienced guy. But Resendiz is in the best place of his career right now. This is a life-changing, career-changing fight if he can win it. In other words, he's the hungry guy. Munguia's made a lot of money. He's been a champion. Will that be the difference? I think the fight goes rounds. I think that it's going to be a competitive fight, an exciting fight. There's been nothing but exciting fights all day. As the late, great Mills Lane would say, let's get it on. And with that, I bring in my buddy, my son, Teddy Atlas the third. Hey, bud.
Hey, bud. I wish I could be having a beer right now. Instead, I need a coffee after the 4 a.m. start out west for Inoue Nakatani live stream. But I'm excited for these fights. I've been listening along, and you're right. What a day for fight fans. What action. And here we go, round one. I got 250 on my clock.
I have 236, so I'm ahead of you. Um, but we'll figure it out. I mentioned when I was breaking this down and previewing it, the jab. Jab is always important. But I think Munguia, if he uses it, he's got the longer jab. He's a little bit of the bigger man, the more experienced man. I think the jab is very important for Munguia, but the jab at the right range. Sometimes he jabs from too close. He can be countered with the right hand of the opponent. He's the bigger man here. It's one of the reasons why I favor him in this fight. I favor Munguia, and I favor to go the distance, to go rounds. But Munguia is the bigger guy, the stronger guy, the more physical guy. And being when you're bigger, I like to make the bigger guy go to the smaller man's body. And Munguia is a good body puncher. I want to see if that's part of the fight strategy for Munguia. He's got the same trainer, of course, as Canelo. And I want to see if their strategy is to go to the body of the smaller man. I think it should be. He throws a good left hook to the body. That's one of the trademark punches for Mexican fighters, the left hook to the body. And I think he should use that, use the jab, set up the body shots. And as far as Resendiz goes, what you see is what you get. He's in front of you. He's game. He's coming off the biggest win of his career. He's confident right now. I don't know if he's going to stay confident if Munguia shows his edge in class, which I think he can show. I don't know if he'll stay confident, but he's a game guy. He's a fighter. He's got a fighter's mentality. The problem is he's not very dimensional with Resendiz. He's coming at you, but he's coming at you in the front door for the most part. And you can see right now the edge with the hand speed, with the size, with mixing in some body shot. You can see that is so far Munguia.
I want to see if Resendiz could keep that nice hair intact throughout the 12 rounds scheduled here.
Yeah, his hair is perfect.
It really is.
I mean, he looks like Ryan Garcia a little bit.
Right?
Ryan Garcia would always come in there with his hair pretty well groomed. And, if you go back in history, you go back to some great fighters back in the 20s to 30s. Who's the fighter I'm thinking of right now? The Benny
Leonard.
The great Jewish lightweight champion, one of the great lightweight champions of all time. He always had his hair. He was proud that he had his hair groomed, and he didn't get hit much, so you couldn't mess it up on him. But they're in the corner. The trainer of Resendiz is trying to calm him down, make sure that he's mentally right, reassuring him that, hey, the first round is over. It's another fight, even though it's hard to reassure a guy of that when he's stepping up this far in class. And it is a big step up. Again, his last fight was a step up. He beat a former champ, but a shop-worn former champ, and not a puncher not a physical puncher like Munguia is. Plant wasn't that kind of guy. And it was a nice win for him. And again, it put him in position for this. But this is a different class. And one of the things I put in the report when I broke this fight down for the ropes members and anybody else who has seen the report is that Munguia's class, I think, is going to show. I think that his jab is going to lead the way. I think his body work will. I think his physicality will show itself. I mean, you look at him right now, but on the screen, and you see how much bigger Munguia is. I mean, to me, he looks just a lot bigger than Resendez.
Yeah, he does. There's definitely a glaring difference, and it's kind of been the case with Munguia as long as I can remember him bursting on the scene. I remember when he fought and won his first world title versus Saddam Ali. I said, "Wow, look how big this guy is compared versus Ali." He's always had that advantage as he's going up in divisions.
Yeah, and that was a junior middleweight, and Ali was really a welterweight who had stepped up too high. He had won the title against Cotto, so he had the title at junior middleweight, but Munguia was too big for him. And one of the possibilities for Resendez here, and he's going to need to take advantage of any possibility because he is the underdog for a reason. And I do think Munguia, I like Munguia to win this fight, but one of the things that he can try to take advantage of is Munguia's got a habit, a flaw, technically, of going straight back 2 or 3 steps in a row. And right now he's not going backwards, he's just going forwards. But when he does go backwards 2 or 3 steps in a row, Resendez needs to follow him.
Ooh.
And make him pay a price. Catch him going straight back. You know, I always say if a train was coming at you on the railroad track, you wouldn't run down the track away from the train. You get off the track. And if you go straight back 2 or 3 steps in a row, you're staying on the track. You're allowing your opponent to follow you while you're defensive and be able to catch you. You're vulnerable. But right now, there's nothing that's really vulnerable about Munguia. It's been all Munguia. You know, he showed that last fight, the rematch, it got him his confidence back. It did what the old timers wanted, you know, either confidence builders or whatever the fight was after a loss, what the old timers always wanted it to do. It let the fighter who had come off a loss, particularly a knockout loss, to know that they were okay, to know that they're still okay. They still, you know, can handle what they got to handle when they get in the ring. That rematch allowed Munguia to know he's okay. And he's showing it. He's right back to being busy. Again, in that last fight, in the rematch, he was not confident in the first half of the fight. He was very tentative. You know, he was very controlled. He was responsible. I give him credit for that. He used his jab. You know, he was with a new trainer. He showed things he was working on. But from the mental standpoint, you could see his confidence was not there. You can see it's back now. His confidence is back. And I believe that's why Munguia's people picked this opponent. I think that they know that, you know, on paper it's competitive. He's coming off the win with Plant. He's an aggressive guy. He makes for good fights, Resendez, but he's smaller. He comes in the front door. He's made to order for a guy who's bigger, a guy who's a higher class, and a guy who's, you know, hands are a little faster. Right now, Resendez doing what he's got to do. He's getting inside. That's what he does. He brings pressure. He brings a lot of heart, and he moves his hands. He goes to the body. He goes to the head. And right now he's doing what he's got to do. He's getting inside with Munguia, and he's having his best round so far.
Yeah, he is. I'm at 2 minutes of round 3. Things are definitely heating up. It's turned into good action so far here.
See, what you can't do with Munguia is stand in front of him. When he stands, when Resendez, sometimes you don't know what to do, but you got to know what not to do. When Resendez, he's got to know that he can't stand at the end of the punches of Munguia. He's longer, he's bigger, he's strong. He can't stand in front at the end of the punches. He's got to get all the way inside or all the way outside. Can't stand at the end of his punches. And I'll tell you, when you fight a bigger guy, like he's fighting right now in Munguia, There's two ways to approach that. And I think Resendez is understanding one of them. One way is to box, to give angles, to go in and out, to outcute him, to outsmart him, to keep him from being set, to keep him from using his power where his feet aren't always set. Or you back him up. And I know that sounds kamikaze to some people, that sounds reckless, that sounds dangerous, but if you do it the right way, covered up, behind your jab, moving your head, and you can back up the bigger guy, you can nullify his power. You can keep him defensive. You can push him back on his heels where he's not effective. Where he is effective is when you're at the end of his punches. And I think you see a little bit of this, Bud, with Resendez this round, that he's trying to back up Munguia. And when he did, he had some good success. Like right now, he's trying to back him up. But when he stops and lays in front, he allows Munguia to have the edge.
Yeah, Munguia is starting to put some water in the basement, as you would say. And that's the end of the round. Before we get back into the next round, bud, and get your commentary for this fight, obviously, we got some questions coming in for some of the viewers. I just want to throw a few at you and see if we could answer some in between rounds. Unity is strength. We appreciate you. Thank you. He said, where would you position Benavidez among Manuel Marquez, Juan Manuel, Canelo, Salvador Sanchez, and Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.? He thinks he's top 5 all-time Mexican fighter.
Benavidez?
Yep.
Well, I mean, I love Benavidez. I love his approach. He's undefeated, of course. He'll fight anyone. I love his attitude. He wanted to fight Canelo. Canelo didn't think it made sense, so he didn't fight him business-wise, whatever. He moved up to cruiserweight for this fight. I mean, he's got the attitude of a real fighter. He's got it's funny you mentioned some of those guys at different stages in the history of the sport, because Benavidez is a throwback fighter. He's an old school fighter with that mentality, him and his father, that they will fight anybody. I think that before you put him in with some of those guys, let him get some more signature fights. I'm not going to argue that I don't think he's a terrific fighter, a terrific Mexican fighter, but the history of the Mexican fighters is so deep. It is so great. And so many special names on that list that I think a lot of people don't even know how deep that list is and how far back it goes. So I would just say, I mean, you got guys like Salvador Sanchez, Oliveira. You got so many great Mexican fighters that I would just say, let him get some more signature wins. This is going to be one of them. And if he gets it, I think it's going to be a tough fight, to be honest. But this will be a terrific feather in his cap. Let him get more signature wins. Let him get a little bit, a couple more of those to kind of put on that list of great fighters. And now this is really warming up the way these fights have been all day.
Oh, hey, bud.
Good action. Good action.
Unbelievable. Unreal fights.
Yeah, the edge, hand speed, little class, power, physicality. That's Munguia.
Yep.
But Resendez doing a good job moving his head, doing a good job defensively, doing a good job keeping his hands up, deflecting a lot of the punches, and doing a good job turning the offense on in spurts, where he'll back up and have his moments by backing up Munguia. And when he does it the right way. He does it behind his jab, and he brings his legs. He doesn't reach where he can leave himself open to a counter. He brings the legs, he steps, brings everything with him. And again, he puts bugs on the windshield using his jab, to make it a little harder for Munguia to counter him coming in. But Munguia, when there's a little space and he can get Resendez at the end of his punches, you see the edge. And you see the edge with his hand speed and his ability to put punches together very well.
Yeah, I just want to say, big right hand there. I know I'm a little behind you by Resendez. Again, really good action. I'm in the final seconds, but here, round four.
Yeah, the bell rang for me, and I'm if I'm in the corner of McGee, I'm probably going to tell him, control that outside the way you've been doing with the jab. Keep him at the end of your punches. You know, don't let him back you up. Make him pay if he tries to get in, because the pressure is on the smaller Resendez, and with less length in his punches, the pressure and the burden is more on Resendez to take the gambles, to have to come forward, to be productive. So I would have Munguia with the mentality, keep him at the end of your jab. He tries to come forward. There's Tommy Hearns, one of the greats, the Motor City hitman, talking about, a list of great fighters, and talk about power and power that he had in that right hand. And matter of fact, since we're talking about Mexican fighters, he won his first title, Tommy Hearns, by pulverizing a Mexican champion in Pepino Cuevas. I mean, his height, his size, it turned out to be just a bad match for Pepino. But Pepino Cuevas was really a tough guy. He was a world champion. He had a great left hook, but he never got a chance to use it with the longer Tommy Hearns, who kept him at the end of his punches. Kind of like we're talking about with Munguia, should keep Resendez at his end of his punches. Tommy Hearns did that and never allowed Pepino Cuevas to even get into that fight. But getting back to this, I like Resendez when he's able to back up. What I liked there was he stepped out of range, and that's what I was talking about before. He's got to be out or in. He can't be at the end of those punches for Munguia. He's got to press it forward, push Munguia back, get in, or get all the way out. But I love the way that Resendez is pretty responsible defensively. But he keeps his hands up good. He moves his head well. I think he should use
chin right there
a little
too.
bit more. But he's trying to keep pressure on Munguia the best he can.
Munguia's shown a little different dimension now, right? Used to seeing him kind of being the boss, coming forward, using that size, that strength. Now he's using his legs. He's boxing. He's picking spots. I just want to say real quick, Matt Borgeson from the Ropes, we appreciate you being with us. He said Resendez is so much better than it used to be. Piggybacking off of what you said, but he said 30% better in his opinion. I know winning that title, you always say that. Obviously, he won that title, as you touched on, versus Caliplant in the last fight. See if it serves him in the second half of this fight coming up.
Customato always told me that, and I think I'm probably the one who put it out there. Where I hear UFC people talking about it, I hear everybody saying it now, where I never heard it before in all the years I've been around doing boxing. But I always say, you win a title, it makes you 30% better. It answers questions, and 75% of this business is mental, and nothing puts you in a better, higher mental place than winning a title. So yeah, I agree with Matt that Resendez is showing that, that improvement from winning the title, but he's losing his fight. But I think that he's representing himself well. He's got the right idea, especially the last couple rounds where he's either going to be all the way out or all the way in. I think that if he's going to win the fight and do more than just have a good showing and go rounds, he's going to have to take those gambles by, pushing forward a little bit more and backing up Munguia.
Yeah, and talking about taking gambles, you said it earlier. We gave out a winner this morning at the ropes at TeddyAtlasBoxing.com. And that was the Inoue fight, over 10.5 rounds. You gave out the picks for this fight. That's Munguia to win and the fight to go the distance. Munguia is now minus 1,000 live. getting you back almost plus 500 live on Resendez. I just also want to say thank you all for being with us. If you guys could hit the like button, help us out, and take a look at our sponsors. See Teddy's wearing Fiofo, fiofo.com. You put Teddy10, get 10% off, and La Rocca Coffee Company. I know I'm drinking it to stay up right now. Same thing, Teddy10, 10% off.
And right now, one of the things I like about Munguia when he's right, he puts educated punches together really, really well. What do I mean, educated punches? Smart punches to specific areas, not just a flurry that is just meant, to kind of catch the attention of the judges or, just keep the opponent busy, even if you're only hitting gloves. But he'll put together good, solid combinations that pinpoint certain areas. And I love that when he does that. He'll use the uppercut well. He'll go to the body with the left hook well. He does put punches together in combination pretty well. But right now, he's getting a run for his money. He's getting pushed backwards. Again, what do you do with a bigger guy who's got some power? You either box him, give him angles, keep him more balanced, or you do what Resendez is doing. You back him up. You push him back on his heels, and you don't allow him to be set for that power. And Resendez is doing a pretty good job this round with that. And he's landing the uppercut, and we know the uppercut will land against Munguia. He got dropped with that punch with Canelo. The uppercut is there for Resendez when he gets in close. And the reason why it's there is because Munguia will go and cover up, put the earmuffs on, the peekaboo a little bit, and he'll cover up. And when he does, and he lays in the middle, you can split the guard with the uppercut. The only bad thing about it for Resendez is Munguia throws a pretty good uppercut too, and he's been able to catch Resendez for the same reason. When Resendez covers up like he is right now, and goes into that little bit of earmuffs, you can split the guard because the head is stationary. There goes Resendez again, trying to back up Munguia, get inside with him. And very game guy, this Resendez. I mean, both guys are game. Both guys have plenty of heart, but very game. He's in the best place mentally of his life, coming off that win, winning the title. And he's doing, he's giving himself the best chance because he's just fighting the fight that he's most comfortable fighting. He's not, you can see he's not being, paralyzed by the stage, by the moment, and not doing the things that he's capable of doing. He's doing exactly what has gotten him here. He's bringing pressure. He's being responsible defensively with a good cover, with good head movement. He's coming forward. The only problem is, and one of the reasons why, like I said, that I edge Munguia in this fight is Resendez is very one-dimensional. I mean, he does it nice, covered up. He does it right. He does it, with the right form, the right technique. But you always know how he's coming at you. He's coming in that front door. Munguia has a little bit more dimension.
Yeah, absolutely. But Munguia is up to minus 1450 favorite now on the live betting odds. So Vegas has him pulling away as this fight is in Las Vegas. And what a start to the Cinco de Mayo weekend. What fights, what a card. And this one is, Munguia's in control, but some good two-way action still going on.
And again, to me, everything starts with the jab. Munguia's got the longer jab, a little bit of the heavier jab, the harder jab. And when he uses it, you see that advantage, and it allows him to set up other shots. He's looking for that uppercut. I don't blame him looking for that uppercut with Resendez because Resendez is covered up again. Like I said, he covers well. When he moves his head, he's a tougher target. But then there's spots where he'll just cover up and he'll be straight in front of you coming in. And when he does that, the uppercut can be a real good choice for Munguia. And there's a well-placed left hook to the body by Munguia.
Yeah, some of that body work is vicious. I like the Resendez showing a pretty good chin so far. I know he's been knocked out once before, as has Munguia, but he's taking the punch as well so far.
He's showing good chin, but he's showing pretty good defense, where he's not taking a lot of these shots clean. He's deflecting, he's blocking, he's moving his head, he's avoiding a lot of them. When he has taken them, he's handled them well. You know, he's showing plenty of grit, of desire. He's fighting like a hungry guy.
He really is. He just walked through a left hook a few seconds ago.
Yeah, he's fighting like a hungry guy, and that's the one thing that you don't see on paper when you handicap a fight. But you have to figure that in. You have to get in their heads. You have to know where they are in their lives. And as I said, going into this fight, Resendez was at the best place he could be in his career, knowing what this fight would mean for him.
Looks, I see so far, to me, a little bit of an improvement in the defense of Munguia.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think that really going all the way back to when he's been with I don't want to say a lot of trainers, but he's switched a few trainers. And when he was with Morales, now he's with Canelo's trainer, but when he was with Morales, the former great Eric Morales, the former great Mexican world champion, he got him moving his head a little bit. What I didn't like about it, I loved that he got him moving his head. What I didn't like was he was moving his head from too far. And when you do it from too far, you allow your opponent to time you before you can get into that zone where you're, where you're a threat to him. He knows you're not a threat. And he just watches your head movement and he times you, he pot shots you. Now he's doing much better with understanding the head movement's got to be at the right range when you're close enough to draw the punch, not from too far. Here's some of the replays, some good body work by Resendez and some good work by Munguia.
Yeah, some good action.
I have Munguia. I'm not keeping score, but I don't have the volume on. Obviously, I'm doing the commentating. I got the volume of the guys at ringside are shut off, as we always do when we do these live streams. But, I got Munguia in control of this fight, but still competitive because Resendez, his approach, his attitude, he's firing. He just tried a counter left hook that was smart. He just tried to see if he could counter with that left hook there. He just missed. But it shows me that he's doing more than just chucking leather. He's thinking. He's trying to figure out a way that the leather is going to get to the chin of Munguia, which is what he wants it to do. Or to the body. In other words, he's in there doing what you want to fight it to do, being more than a tough guy, being a guy who's cerebral, being a guy who sees things, being a guy who's figuring out things. That's what you got to do when you're a fighter. And when you're a fighter at a high level, you have to mix being tough with being smart and being technically together. And even though Munguia has got the edge, being more consistent offensively, and he does, he has the edge. Resendez is keeping himself in this fight with his defense. Yes, his offense, but even with his defense too, because even when he gets caught, he doesn't get caught 2 or 3 in a row. He'll move his head, he'll make the next one miss. He'll block the next one. He just got caught an uppercut in there. But again, he got caught a left hook stepping out there. And
And
you
it's
see that
been
McGee
a
is pouring it on him a little.
it's been a big round for Munguia.
Yeah, big
Big
spot.
round. I got a minute and 8. He's landing some big shots, but I mean, he's going,
Yeah,
putting it
he's stepping
together
up.
upstairs, downstairs.
I think his corner told him, listen, you're the class here. You've been in there with the better fighters. You're the much more experienced guy. Step it up. You
Yeah.
know, this guy has not been in with your class. Step it up. Make that flame a little hotter. See if he can handle a hotter flame. He's handled the flame that you've given him. See if he can handle one that's more intense. And it looks like Resendiz may have weathered the storm. There's 15 seconds left, and now Munguia has slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a pretty hot pace. Attorney Bailey said McGee is showing something, a lot of improvement, and that's exactly what we've been saying. Improvement in defense, different dimension.
Yeah, and how much of it's definitely improvement, but how much of it is also his advantage over a guy who's smaller, less experienced, very game, definitely, and a guy who came here to give himself the best chance to win. But still, a guy smaller, a guy much less experienced. And I think one of the things that has kind of stood out for me that has given Munguia really a big edge in his fight, his hand speed. And I wrote that up in the report. Yeah, we knew he was big and we knew he's the better puncher. We understood all those things, that when he's at his best, he can put punches together pretty well. But his hand speed is significantly better than Resendiz. So he's not only bigger, he's not only more experienced, he's not only the guy with more power, but the hand speed is really separating him, I think, in this fight. And again, he's going right back to work here and really staying dedicated to that body, which I think is one of his fortes and something that I think his trainer wants him to always keep in his mind, that always come back to that body. You're a good body puncher. You got a tough guy in front of you. His defense is pretty good. He's shown a good chin. But when you go to the body of a guy with a good chin, it makes a difference. I've seen guys that you hit them in the chin, they keep coming. And then all of a sudden you hit them in the right spot in the body, and all of a sudden the fight changes. And that's exactly the mentality, I think, of Munguia and his corner. That one of his strengths is always to be able to weaken the opponent to the body. And let's face it, that's part of the mentality that's almost inbred in Mexican fighters. To be a warrior, to be aggressive, to have a good left hook, to go to the body.
Yeah, we're at a minute and 30 seconds on my clock, bud. And yeah, you could see some of the placement of those shots you were touching on earlier going to the body. Resenda is still working forward, but Munguia is still getting the best of it.
Yeah, give Resendiz credit. Like
How
I
much
said,
time do you have in the round right now?
I got 1 minute and 2 seconds. The thing that he's getting hurt here, Resendiz, a little bit now. The thing that hurts him, but is when he stands at the end of the punches right in front of Munguia. Again, the longer, stronger, more experienced, faster hand fighter, when he stays at the end of his punches. And the other thing that really, at the end of the day, is the thing that really Munguia can count on, is that Resendiz is always one-dimensional. Yeah, that ain't changing. Unfortunately, I would love to see him come off to the side once in a while, but Resendiz doesn't have that in his playbook. That's got to be taught in the gym. And you can see it's not. He's in front of you, and he took a lot of punishment that round. But he's a game guy. And there you see Canelo, cheering for Munguia, who is, of course, his stablemate now, with his trainer also training Munguia.
Yeah, Canelo's fired up. Munguia is just, as I was about to say it, I don't know, just wrote it in the comments here. Too big for this kid. You said it right away, right? The difference in the size, the physicality, the strength. It's
He's too
glaring
big,
right now.
and the speed. It's bad enough that he's too big, but sometimes the bigger guy is the slower guy. He's too big and he's faster.
Yeah.
And again, I'll say it again. Resendiz, as game as he is, there's only one dimension to his game, and that's in the front door. And you can only get away with that so long, with superior fighters.
With a pro Benavidez crowd there, they might have been booing Canelo just now. That's what Matt Borgeson's asking, if they were booing him. It's Benavidez' night there. We're gonna stick to this fight here, bud. But Count Drago, appreciate you. He's asking if you're gonna do a fight prediction for Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano MMA bout coming up on Netflix, I believe, in 2 weeks. We could cover and talk about that more coming up on the podcast as that fight gets a little closer.
Was not planning it. I've been doing a lot of handicapping. It takes a lot of time breaking film down. Each fight takes me maybe 4 or 5 hours to break the films down and, write the reports and try to figure it out the best I can, all dimensions of it. So I wasn't looking to have another one to do, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, and talking about the picks at the ropes, we said earlier we had a winner over 10.5 rounds in a way fight. I don't want to jinx anything. There's a long way to go, but
we still got a ways to go here, but
yeah. But we have to put it out there for the people so they're aware. And that was the Munguia to win, as well as this fight going the distance. We also did give out a play. We'll get into that after this fight for the main event, which is the Benavidez Ramirez fight, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I'd feel better if Resendiz would, every once in a while, if he would just, change up a little bit, give a little feint, step to the side, give a little angle, not always come in that front door continually. When you come in, slide to the side a little bit. But when you do come in, come all the way in. Do not go back out at the end of Munguia's punches. Because when you go back out, you allow him to get full extension on his punches, where he can hit you, you can't hit him. Get full power on his punches. See, this is where I like to see Resendiz. You're going to be aggressive? Good. Go all the way. Get in. Push him back. Keep him from being set to punch. Put him on their heels. But don't stand out in front. You either got to get all the way out or all the way in. He's such a game guy. But do not discount what I said earlier. The only reason he's still here, Munguia looks good. It's a good performance. The only reason he's still here, Resendiz, yes, his heart. Yes. Yes, he's 30% better mentally, especially from his winning the title. Yes, 100%. But also his defensive ability to keep his hands up and move his head. It has saved him. Yeah, see, he got caught 2 punches there. Then the third one he blocked. I'm watching the replay. He got caught definitely 3 punches there, 2 jabs, a right hand, another right hand. But then he got his hands up. He did get caught 2, 3 in a row there. He went straight back. But the last punch, the last one that could have dropped him, the left hook, the glove was up. So I'm not making him Pernell Whitaker. I'm not making him Mayweather, but I'm just saying just enough defense to allow him so far to survive, along with his heart. But it's kind of in the hands of McGee now, because if McGee wants to open up, he's way ahead, way ahead. If he wants to just, not go into a complete prevent defense, but play it smart, play it safe, jab, show that dimension you talked about earlier, Bud, that he has that dimension. He can be athletic more than people think. He can box, he can use his legs. If he wants to do that now, being way ahead, that gives Resendez a chance to have runs at him, to stay in the fight. But if McGee decides to, be a little bit more consistent offensively, put the pedal to the metal a little bit, and his corner gets in his ear and says, hey, look, we got this, but we want to make a real statement here. And there's no better way to make a statement than to do it by bringing the curtain down with a knockout. And if his corner is on him to do that, well, Resendez still has he's still got some tough turf to go through.
Yeah, I think the Bruno Saras first fight is still going to be in the back of the mind of Munguia in his corner. And first things first, just get out of here with the win. It's been a very impressive performance. This is the best I've seen Munguia in his career, in my opinion.
Yeah, he looks good. Can't argue. But again, I think it's a combination of, you're ahead, be smart, don't take chances you don't need to take. You're well ahead. But, and there's a but, they all have pride. The trainer's a smart, experienced trainer. He's not going to get reckless. But at the same time, I can see him saying to Munguia, look, don't get reckless. Do it right. But if you can open up and you can get the stoppage, you know what? It's always good to be able to get that sensational win for future fights, to be able to draw future big fights.
Absolutely. I have 20 seconds here in round 11. Munguia way ahead, but Resendez is going to have to score a knockout to pull this one out of the fire.
Yeah, and it's going to have to be with a trick punch. It can't be with a cold punch. What I mean by a trick punch, something that is set up where Munguia doesn't see it. Whether it's something like bending low, going high, maybe slipping. One of the moves I used to always teach the fighters, you slip your head to the left, and as you slip to your left, just like a split millisecond late, you throw the right hand. So you try to distract the fight, bring his eyes to the left, where he's watching your head movement go to the left, and he's expecting something to come from the left. And then, like I said, you just synchronize it where just a little, boom, you throw the right hand as you slip to your left. And you land it. If you land it, you can land a punch that the fighter doesn't see. And when they don't see it, it could be that much more impactful. So let's see now, just for fun, but what do you think his corner, you've been around boxing your whole life. What do you think the corner of Munguia just told him? Did they tell him, hey, look, protect the lead. Be smart. Don't let him walk in. Don't get me wrong. But, be smart, box. Don't be taking unnecessary risks by going after it too much. Or are they saying, hey, close the show?
Yeah, I don't have the volume on, so I don't know what they said, but my guess would be what I touched on earlier. The Saras fight has to be in the back of the mind, right? You have a great performance going right now. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay responsible defensively. We don't need the knockout. We need the win. That's what I would be telling them. But hey, that crowd, Cinco de Mayo weekend, all Mexican clash. Maybe he goes for it.
And everyone's looking for the biggest fights now. I mean, you always are, don't get me wrong, but especially now, it's in the air. It's in the air in
They told him
boxing.
to box, by the way, but Matt Borgeson just chimed in and let us know that. So thank you, Matt.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And that's what you would hope. But Magia, again, right now, he looks like he wants to get
Ooh,
that knockout, to be honest.
man, they both opened up there.
Yeah, well, Resendez has no choice. Munguia has a choice. Although I'm going to take that back. He's being forced to open up because this guy is bringing it. This guy is challenging him. Give Resendez a lot of credit. He's a smaller guy, the less experienced guy, but he gave everything. He gave everything, and he still is.
He
He's
still
hurt
is.
now, though.
I'm at a minute
He's
20.
hurt now, though. Damn it. I hope he can survive it. This is what I was worried about. That, if he could get the
Oh,
knockout, Munguia would go.
oh,
But this is where Resendez is not helping himself because nobody taught him how to tie up. This is something I wanted to say all night long, that I have not seen any moments where Resendez has shown the ability to tie up. You have to teach your fighter to tie up. And I haven't seen that. Man, come
how much
on.
time you got left there?
God, he's a tough son of
How
a.
much time?
Oh my goodness. 15 seconds. Oh my goodness.
Wow, I'm 15 seconds behind you, and they have not stopped.
Goodness. Oh my
Wow,
goodness. I'm gonna count it down, buds. 6, 5,
this is like Max Holloway type
3,
stuff.
2, 1. We won this morning. We gave a nice win this morning. And now we just gave a pretty good parlay, I think, with Munguia and the fight going the distance.
No, you nailed it, but you the best kept secret out there has got to be the ropes. It really has to be. I mean, the way you said it earlier, you spend 4 to 5 hours each guy breaking these fights down. Your eye, your knowledge, your care, it separates you, and you really do care. It's more than the money. It's about the pride in it.
I don't want to let people down either. I
That's
feel
it. And that's 3 for 3 today. As you said, over 10 and a half rounds in Inoue Nakatani. Gave out Munguia by decision. There's no way he doesn't win this by decision. And also, the fight will go the distance. We don't give out many favorites. We don't lay. But in this case, you like both of them. They both were minus 200, but still both wins.
yeah, that's not that bad, 200.
Not that bad. And earlier was only minus 120 on the morning fight. We do have one more coming up, and we could get that to that in a little bit. We're gonna have some time here in between, but allow you to chime in as we get a little closer on your pick for the Benavidez Ramirez fight. But excellent job, bud. I know the ropes members got to be happy. I know Matt's in here with us. He could. We don't need anybody to vouch for it, but he could also vouch for those picks and those reports. So
I tell you what, I want to applaud the heart, the resiliency, just the incredible determination of Resendez. I really do, and it does solidify my point that I always say: you get 30% better when you win a title, and he needed it just to be able to go the distance in this fight against a higher class fighter, more experienced, bigger fighter, um, like Munguia. But not only did Armando Resendez take some hellacious punches to the head, but he took some big body shots. And those are, in many ways, are harder to take sometimes than the head punches. And he took both. I mean, this guy deserves a lot of credit.
yeah,
I
no
mean,
doubt. He
he
made
really
some
does.
fans in this loss tonight, especially there with his own Mexican fans. As they're reading the cards here, bud, and we know it's going to go to Munguia. Matt Borgeson just said Shiraz versus Munguia would be amazing. I wouldn't mind seeing that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that either.
Or even Pacheco.
Pacheco's another one. I'll tell you another one, but he's already got his dance card filled fighting Canelo.
Oh, I wish that would be the one. Mbelly, yeah. Yeah, we're saying all those names. Nobody's calling out the Cuban Iglesias yet. But now there's some big fights coming up from Munguia.
I'll tell you one thing, that fight, we'll break it down when it gets closer. But that fight with Canelo and Billy, I'll tell you right now, Canelo better hurt him. And he might. He might, because Billy gets caught, and he gets caught with a lot of uppercuts. But he better hurt him. Because if he don't hurt Billy, and he allows him to get into gear, to get that motor going, that really motor that you know, throws a lot of punches, gets to your body, it could be an interesting night. But Canelo is a good enough puncher and a sharp enough puncher and a counter puncher where I'm sure that that's part of the reason they took that fight. They feel that they will be able to catch him, Billy. Meanwhile, we're in the locker room of David Benavidez right now, and they're doing a little pad work. And I think one of the things that is an advantage for Benavidez, I think this is a tough competitive fight. One of the things that's an advantage for Benavidez is that his hands are faster. I think he's a little bit of the better puncher, even though he's moving up in weight. I think he's got more pop, but I think that his hands are faster, and he's not really that much the smaller man like traditionally you think about guy moving up in weight. You know, I heard Jim Gray kept saying, what do you think? What do you think? You're moving up 25 pounds. You're moving up 25 pounds. You're moving up 25 pounds. And it makes it sound like, wow, oh my God, he's going in there with the much, much bigger guy. But not really. Remember, he's not really the naturally bigger guy, Ramirez. Ramirez has been at a higher weight longer, no doubt about it. His body has settled and stabilized at that weight and become comfortable at that weight, no doubt about it. But I called Ramirez's fights on Friday Night Fights on ESPN years ago when he was coming up. He was a middleweight and then a super middleweight. And then he moved up to light heavy. He lost his one fight to Bebo, nothing to be ashamed of. And then he moved up to cruiserweight. Benavidez is, is a guy that he's a big light heavyweight. He's moving up now to cruiserweight. But I wouldn't say that there's a huge size advantage. I would not say that. I would say Ramirez has been at the heavier weight longer. At the end of the day, I like Benavidez in a really tough fight. I would even put a small play on a draw, 15-1. I would put a small play on a draw just for the heck of it, because I think this can be a very close, tight, competitive fight. Both guys like to do the same thing in many ways. They like to fight inside. They like to go to the body. They both do. Again, I think that one of the biggest advantages for me with Benavidez, he's got the faster hands, and maybe a little bit more pop. But both like to go to the body. Both guys, able to fight outside or inside, but they will engage you. And I think that Ramirez he's a guy in front of you where a lot of people think Benavidez will be able to find him, but he's pretty good defensively. I mean, he does a good job keeping his hands up. He's a southpaw. He moves his head. He's pretty good at counterpunching. He has that dimension to him where he can counter, that if Benavidez gets a little reckless, a little anxious, a little overzealous, he can have a counter coming right back at him. I think that I think this is a real good competitive fight.
Yeah,
And I think
Edgar.
both guys do similar things. The difference, again, Benavidez faster. Benavidez fights in spurts. He fights like, kind of like a rain shower, where you get those rain showers and it just pours for 5 minutes and then it goes away. Benavidez will pour punches at you in spots and then go settle down again. Ramirez will look to do similar type things on the inside, where he'll open up in spurts, not as fast, but with the same idea, to be able to steal moments, catch you by surprise, grab the advantage. There's a beautiful picture of Benavidez with his son in the locker room, and there's his father
His son,
getting him, putting
we
a
might be
robe
talking
on.
about that little boy in a few years from now. He might be the next Mexican monster.
We've seen him do some shadow boxing. He looks pretty darn good. You're right. Neither one of these guys have bodies that you're going to be thinking about, Adonis, or you're going to be thinking about, what Arnold Schwarzenegger. Their bodies, I'm not going to say are soft, but they're not chiseled. Neither one of their bodies, but their heart is chiseled, their chins are chiseled, their intentions are chiseled. They're both fighters. This will be this will be a contested fight. I mean, anybody could catch somebody with a body shot, with a sudden punch, where suddenly it takes a left turn from where you thought it was going to take. You see Ramirez and his people in the locker room saying a prayer, getting ready to come out. But I think the way I wrote this up, Bud, was for the fight to go rounds, to go over, and for Benavidez to get a very close decision and to put a little play on the draw. Is that pretty much, am I remembering what I put out there right?
Yeah, Benavidez did not want to lay. It's up to over minus 550 now, I believe. Did not want to lay that wood. So yes, Benavidez to win by points. We get it at minus 130. I believe it's now up to minus 150. And then you said a small play on the draw, going for the odds. I'm going through some of the comments here, and I can't verify right now with a lot going on. But one of your former fighters and Hall of Famer, Timothy Desert Storm Bradley, I don't know if this is him 100%, but it might be in the chat. He's saying that he's on the stuff, coach. He's saying he thinks he's taking some stuff and he's not clean. Some other people chiming in on that. But anyway, if it is Timmy, how you doing, champ? Thanks for being with us.
Hey, Timmy, listen, Timmy is one of the most competitive, obviously a former world champion in a couple weight classes, a Hall of Famer, and one of the we're talking about, how much heart fighters, have to have in the mix of being smart and having great heart. How you have to have that combination. Timmy had that combination, and there was nobody that was more competitive, more, tougher mentally, more just more pure heart than Tim Bradley. And he showed that in many fights, but he never showed it more than he did in the night with Provodnikov. I mean, that was a fight that was brutal. And for him to get through that fight and make a choice in that fight to do more than get through, to also continue to take chances to win, which he did. because he was behind. He got dropped a couple times. He had to one of the other. He had to commit to surviving or commit to winning. And of course, mixing in being as smart as you could. And he did it. When he made the Hall of Fame, I said to him, I said, that fight alone, that behavior alone should have put you in the Hall of Fame. But
no question. I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. And it's fitting that Timmy would be joining us tonight after watching a fight. Made me think of him. And you're talking about heart and will and toughness and all guts. That fight earlier in the UK, Egginton and Conor Walker, kind of reminded me a little bit of Bradley and Provannikov.
yeah, that fight was incredible. That fight was
It is
incredible.
Timmy, but it's verified. He just threw in another question. He's saying Muggia didn't look different to you guys 1 year out of the ring, throwing combination after combination, not even breathing hard at all.
I
Coach,
talked
question
about
mark.
how good he looked. I thought the first fight back off the knockout loss, he was very tentative. He is with a new trainer. I know that there's been questions about Canelo.
Well, where we're
Dancing.
getting at is after the Saras rematch win, he was tested positive for prohibited substances. And then after that, they said that it was overturned, it was contaminated supplements rather than intentional cheating. Who knows what the truth was from that standpoint? But there is reason to believe that from the past test after the Saras rematch.
Yeah, and we've been down the road with that. I know it's ridiculous. I almost hesitate to say it, but with the tainted beef, in supposedly that Canelo ate, that was the reason why he tested positive some
And
years.
many Eddie Reynoso fighters have tested positive, to your point. There's been several.
Yeah,
So
I mean, you can't get around it.
definitely was the best McGee has looked. We said that, right? There was a huge difference, in my opinion, the best I've seen him, besides that Saddam Ali fight when he was too big, too strong, and blew him out of the water at 154. But we got a lot of questions coming in, but I want to get to a few of them real quick. And thank you guys that are throwing in some of these questions in the super chat here. Count Drago 1544. He said, "Who do you think Patterson versus Johansson isn't mentioned among the great trilogies? I think it's underrated. First fight, shock upset. Second fight, revenge. Third fight, both guys traded knockdowns. Patterson doesn't get his just due."
Yeah, listen, Patterson was he was a enigma. I mean, it was during a different era, smaller heavyweights. He was 185 pounds. He was a middleweight through a lot of his career coming up. Very fast hands, very good punches, especially with the left hook. Very explosive, um, and he's underrated in a lot of ways. But in that fight with Johansson, he got dropped. I don't remember how many times. It might have been 7, but he got dropped an extraordinary amount of times. Showed a lot of heart. Kept getting up till he didn't get up anymore until they finally stopped it. Came back with the rematch with one of the most dramatic knockouts probably in the history of the sport. Well, and to the point of who's bringing this up, he made history when he came back and won the title and regained the title against Johansson in a rematch by knocking him out. That was the first time a heavyweight had ever come back and regained the title. First time. It's been done a lot of times now, but that was the first time in the history of the sport that it was done. And again, he did it in such a sensational manner. First of all, it was the punch that he landed. It was a leaping left hook that we used to teach. Cuss used to teach. I used to teach, with certain fighters, where when the fighter's stepping back, when he's vulnerable, when he's in a erect position where he's not set to punch, you can go with him as he steps back, and you can leave your feet and launch yourself. Normally, I would say never launch yourself, but you do it in a way that you plan to do it. You look for the right spot. You look for your opponent not to be set on his feet, to be exposed, to be going back, to be in a defensive, perilous position, and you leap in at that time. And he drew the leaping left hook. He landed it on Johansson, and the knockout was so significant and sensational that Johansson was laying prone on the floor with his foot twitching. Again, it was one of the most dramatic scenes and pictures you're ever going to see of a knockout, just laying there with his foot twitching. So, and then of course he fights him the third time, the rubber match, and they were both on the floor, and Patterson wound up being the guy that won that fight by knockout. So you make a good point. And again, Patterson's an enigma. He's a guy that does not get probably the credit, that he deserves for being a fighter that he was. They look at him against Ali, where he was a shell of himself, and they look at those fights, and obviously they forget about when he was at his best. So there was a lot of good trilogies back in the day, too. A lot of good ones.
No, it's fun to get a little history and talk about some of the old-time greats in between these live fights here, and the ring walks are beginning. Trent Nonparallel said, Teddy, he met Aaron McKenna at a top-ranked gym in Vegas. He's fighting for the vacant IBF 160-pound belt. And Trent dropped a quote of yours to him. Aaron said he was a big fan of yours, and he's a big fan. His favorite fighter actively is Benavidez. So thank you, Trent. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the support.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, bud. Well, there is the Mexican Monster in the ring. We're only a couple minutes away.
Ironic. You think there's a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of a sign here, with superstition, whatever you want to call it, but irony that we already had a monster win early today. We started our day very early this morning with a live stream, all the way across the world in Japan with a monster. And will two monsters win on the same day? We're about to find out. But
before we find out, only because it's Timmy, he's saying, Coach, I love you. Please answer the question. Did he look different? Thank you. Relentless as always.
Well, Tim Bradley never gives up. You don't know how. And
that's right.
And I'm showing Timmy what I showed him when I trained him in the gym, how to be elusive. And I'm sure he's smiling and laughing right now with that beautiful smile that he has. Because
we can maybe one of these future ones, Timmy could sub in for me and let you guys go at it, the firemen together. That would be a lot of fun. I'm wearing the shirt, Timmy.
You don't have to sub out. You'll be with us, but I'd love to have Timmy as part of a broadcast. He's invited anytime he wants.
Yeah, I know he's a busy man, but maybe we can make that happen one of these fights soon. There's a lot of big fights coming up. Just in May still to go. Next week, Dubois Wardley. Can't wait for that one.
But Timmy, I do want to answer your question. I think part of it, you know how important I always put the mental side to it. I thought in his first fight with Canelo's trainer, when he came back after the loss to Saratz, I thought he was very tentative. I didn't think he didn't look like he did here. But I think part of it, I expected. Put aside the possibility of PEDs, which is definitely a possibility. You bring up a legitimate question for a lot of reasons. The trainer he's with, the past with that trainer, my son just brought it up. The past with Canelo, with the testing that, he tested positive, and then they said it was, a bad sample. We've all been down that road. who knows definitively, but it makes you suspicious, no doubt about it. And then the eye test. You're right. On top of all that, because you probably wouldn't be saying this if there wasn't some, evidence pointing to be suspicious from the past. And then you look at it with the eye test, you say, yeah, you know what? They connect. It comes together. But the thing that I'm going to say, and I did say, and I'll say it again, is I expected him to be better this fight because I thought the fight coming back, getting back in the ring, coming off the knockout loss, getting rid of some of the ghosts in the attic off of that knockout loss, I thought that he would be better. He would be back to himself, to being a fighter who's pretty good offensively, who puts punches together, who's more aggressive. I thought that he would be much more assured and sure of himself and perform like that than he did the last fight. So in that way, I wasn't thinking PEDs, quite honestly, because I was just thinking I expected him to be better for those reasons. But when you bring that up, again, you make a legitimate case. And here we are with David Benavidez being introduced. He's I think he's about 5 years younger. I didn't see the age of Ramirez right there, but I know he's younger than Ramirez.
Yeah, Ramirez is 34, Benavidez is 29.
Yeah, so he's 5 years younger. Maybe youth would be served a little bit. But I don't judge. Timmy knows this. Age does come into factor, but at some point. But I don't judge fighters chronologically like everyone else does. I judge them by the amount of tough fights, the amount of punches they've taken. I judge them that way. That makes them old, or that makes them young, or that makes an older fighter still young because he hasn't taken a lot of punches, like a Mayweather, is a good example. So I don't see Ramirez as being an old fighter. He's not a guy that's shown any signs of being shot worn, where he's taken a lot of punishment throughout his career. At the end of the day, I think the most tangible differences in this fight, advantage-wise, for Benavidez is his hand speed, a little more explosive, and maybe a little sprightlier, a little bit younger, but mostly it's the hand speed. I think that this fight really is a competitive, tough match. Both guys like to do the same things. They enjoy going to the body. They like to engage. They do have dimension where they can fight on the outside. I think that Benavidez has a good jab. Obviously, Ramirez has the southpaw jab, which he's going to try to use as an advantage. But Benavidez has a good jab. He's got good length. I think he should use that jab on the outside. I think that he should try to control the outside as much as he can. Look to set up the southpaw killer, the straight right hand against the southpaw when he can. Don't go crazy. Don't go head hunting. Don't go nuts, but set it up off the jab. It can be very effective. I think he should look, again, to have an edge on the outside, because we know he's going to have moments where he's going to want to engage and he's going to want to explode in spurts, because that's what Benavidez does. So right now, the round started. I'm at 2 minutes, Bud, and 30 seconds of the first round, just to see where you are.
Yeah, I'm a little behind you. I'm at 2:35 right now, round one. And one thing I just wanted to say, Bud, these guys have sparred over 200 rounds in the ring together. Obviously,
Yeah,
very
5 years
familiar.
ago, though, Bud. But yes, 100%. Yes. But 5 years ago. So both guys are different fighters. Benavidez might be more improved. Um, you know, being that he was 5 years younger than Ramirez when he first was. So I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna put my coach's hat on. I don't know how those sparring sessions went. You can't trust the fighters. They're all gonna lie about it anyway and say they got the better of it. So I don't know, and I don't have information how they went, but I'm gonna guess that there might have been a little edge of anything to Ramirez. Ramirez was the older guy, the more experienced guy, the more mature guy. So I think it probably bodes in the confidence department, maybe a little more for Benavidez, because if those sparring matches were competitive, and if they went 200 rounds, they were competitive. You don't box somebody 200 rounds if you're getting the crap beat out of you. So if they were competitive back then, the edge would be to Benavidez, which he's showing it right now with a good start, because Benavidez would have to say, and his father would have to say, hey, you were 5 years younger than him, and you held your own, or you got the better of him. You're that much better. You're not a kid anymore. So I would think that a lot of that, as far as confidence stuff, as far as, billboard material, blackboard material, to pump your fighter up, to give him some of that mental confidence. I think that would be on the edge of Benavidez. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. They're in the ring now. I see an edge for Benavidez on the outside, a little quicker hands. He landed a couple right hands. There's the explosions I talk about. You're going to get those explosions. I think it takes a little while for Ramirez to warm up. That first round went to Benavidez. He was busier. He was sharper. He was a little more explosive. He had his moments, but it doesn't mean a lot, because I expect Ramirez, with his style and his temperament, he's the kind of guy that starts slow. He needs a little time to get that motor going, to get out of the driveway, to get on the road. Benavidez, I expected him to start faster. He's got more quick twitch to him. He's the quicker hand guy. As we said, he's a little younger. I expected him to get the better start. So I'm not surprised to see Benavidez win the first round. And again, exactly what I wrote in my report. Benavidez he's like being in in Miami, where all of a sudden you get a rain shower for 5 minutes and then it stops, and then you get another rain shower. He comes with punch showers, in spots. He is very, very explosive in spots, and not just with power, but with hand speed. He puts punches together, in those spurts. And those spurts can win a round. And they can also do something else. They can frustrate, discourage a fighter. They can kind of handcuff a fighter, where he gets handcuffed with all those punches coming, where it could leave an opening somewhere else, like to the body. And Benavidez is pretty good going to the body. See, if I'm in the gym with Benavidez, and of course his father's done a great job, I want to, when he puts those quick punches together, Bud, I want to finish with a hard punch underneath. In other words, handcuff him with those fast punches, mesmerize him, freeze him, and then go downstairs and place a hard shot.
Yeah, I'm with you, but 150 on my clock here, round two. A lot of the comments in the chat are saying how massive Ramirez looks in there.
He has been at the heavier weight longer, but, it's a softer, different kind of body and muscle. But it's going to be a tough fight. It's going to be an endurance fight. It's going to be a fight of attrition. And it's going to be a fight of both men trying to instill their wills on the other guy, which usually happens at this level. It's not just about skill, it's about will. And we're going to see that. Ramirez is going to try to test the will of Benavidez. And I think for the most part, Benavidez is going to try to, I don't know if this is the right way of saying it, but try to outskill him, try to outspeed him, try to have more options on the outside and inside. I think the biggest option for Ramirez is in close. Ramirez likes to tuck up. He's doing a good job now. He likes to tuck up and he likes to get into the kitchen and cook up something. Go to the body, mix punches up. As good as Benavidez puts punches together, Ramirez puts punches together pretty well too. Not as fast, not as explosive. And you see some of that explosion right there. And then you see a good uppercut right there. And that's what I'm talking about. That's something I want to see Benavidez do more. Ooh. Tim Bradley would understand this, where he throws that initial 4 punches, bah, 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 rapid fire, machine gun. And they're not really thrown in specific areas. It's not like they're being placed, over here, over here. He's just throwing them to kind of keep you frozen. And then all of a sudden there's an opportunity off of that when the guy is handcuffed, when the guy did have his hands up, when the guy is a little bit of being blitzed by those fast punches, there's an opportunity to place a hard shot in a very specific area. And I think Benavidez did that with the uppercut at the end of that flurry. Again, I think the edge is Benavidez, but 2 rounds to nothing. Faster starter, faster hands.
And you said that in the preview in the lead up, right? You expected that to be the case in the early going rounds. You said that Ramirez takes some time to get going, right? And it could get interesting more in the middle to the later rounds, but you expected Benavidez to get out in front early.
Yeah, I did. And, but this guy, unless something crazy happens, and it could always happen, Benavidez could catch him, something open up, and, that can always happen. But unless that happens, this guy is going to be there for the long haul. This guy is going to make his presence known, or his presence known, before the night's over. And the way he's going to do it behind that southpaw jab, he's sound fundamentally, Ramirez. He's going to come forward. He's going to look to go to the head and body, and he's going to look to put punches together. But his hands are not as fast or explosive. And you're seeing the difference of the hand speed. But you are seeing Ramirez hanging with him and having his moments of touching Benavidez in close. Where he's going to try to get to Benavidez is to be steady, consistent with his pressure. With the way he brings it. Behind the jab, bringing his legs, not leaving himself open to a counter. He just wants to be steady and be able to try to wear down Benavidez.
Yeah, exactly what you could see right now. And those have been some explosive bursts. There was another one there. I'm a little behind you.
This round is a lot closer. But Benavidez, again, he's got the ability to steal close rounds with those quick spurts of punches, those explosions of punches. A round could be really close. And then all of a sudden, Benavidez opens up with those explosions. And what does the judge remember? He remembers that. Both guys going to the body. Both guys engaging like I said they would. I still think Benavidez would serve himself if he did a little more work on the outside with the jab. There's that explosion again. And it's almost like there it is again. And that's what I mean. They're not being placed to specific areas. he just opens up in a barrage. And when he opens up in a barrage, it makes the fighter defensive. It catches him by surprise. It blitzes him, and it gives you an opportunity, which Benavidez didn't really do that. But it gives you an opportunity with that half a second when you open up in those spurts and you got the guy, blitzed a little bit. You got a chance to place a hard punch. And I would like to see Benavidez do that.
End of 3 rounds, and Benavidez in control early on. Some good action starting to heat up. I think I might have heard earlier, but if this goes to the scorecards, I don't want to upset your night over there. I think Tim Cheatham is one of the judges tonight.
Well, it's not. Let's not start worrying about that yet. When you have a name like Cheatham, you're always under suspicion, especially when you match that name with your performance that he has done way too many times. I got it 3-0, but I'm not keeping score. But in my head, Benavidez has just outworked, out-hustled, outspeeded, and probably outlanded with the cleaner punches Ramirez. See, this is what I want. I want to see a little mix. Both guys are good inside. Benavidez loves to get inside, engage, and go to the body. So does Ramirez. But I think Benavidez, with his length of his jab and his speed, I think he's got an edge on the outside. And I think he should use that edge. Until you want to go inside, fine. Go ahead. Go do your thing. But give yourself a chance to have an edge on the outside. Something that I don't think Ramirez has an edge. Not as much as Benavidez. Again, because of the length of the jab of Benavidez and because of the speed. And I like the idea on the outside that he could set up the straight right hand against the southpaw, which can be very, very, very effective.
Yeah. Ramirez is taking the punches well so far.
He blocks well, too. He keeps the hands up. He slips. He doesn't get hit a lot of clean shots. And this is what he does. More explosive, quicker guy, Benavidez. Ramirez, steady. He's the tortoise in the race with the hair. Nice and steady. And that's what he's doing. The hair, the rabbit, the quicker guy, that's Benavidez. But the tortoise, the turtle, that is Mr. Ramirez. Nice and steady. This is a close round. This is a better round for Ramirez.
It is. Do you think with the extra weight, fighting that cruiserweight obviously for the first time, is there something in the back of the head of pacing himself that he knows the later rounds are going to be important?
For Benavidez, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, I think that he might be feeling that weight right now. But he's a fighter, and he's having those explosions again.
Ooh.
30 seconds left. He just rocked him a little bit, Benavidez did. And he's having those explosions. I think he should look for the body and the uppercut on the inside a little bit more. There's a right hand. He just landed that.
Oh, man.
Good right hand.
Wow.
What
a chin, though. Stay up.
Very explosive.
Oh, my goodness.
Very explosive. Quicker hands.
And nasty.
Very explosive. Hurt him. Down.
Oh.
Yeah.
My goodness. Wow. How is he still standing right now? No, he's not. Wow.
The bell's going to ring. So he survives. It's not looking good for it to go the distance now. We already got 3 wins today. I'm glad of that.
Wow.
That was, I'll tell you one thing. Win or lose, I feel good about the reports I put out. This guy, the difference in his fight, hand speed, pop, the ability to explode in spurts. What I didn't like here for the chances of Ramirez going further, Bud, was his body language. I mean, look, he took some bad shots there. And again, that flurry of quick punches. And before that, there was a well-placed punch the good luck took behind the ear there. That did a lot of damage. But the thing I didn't like, aside from the physical damage he took, we know that. He has a minute to recover, but will he mentally still be in a fight? I didn't like the body language. I didn't like the body language when he got up. And what is the doctor doing? Is that the doctor?
Yeah, they're taking a look at him. When you talk about supreme confidence, David Benavidez has that. I mean, the hand speed, the amount of punches he's putting in combos, the nastiness, but I love the way he pulls down the gloves to create the openings.
That's because he's calm. He sees everything. He's, as you said, he's confident. You know, he's calm in an uncalm environment. And again, he gives himself a big edge with his hand speed, his ability to explode. Like I said earlier, I mean, this is like a rain shower. The only thing is Ramirez got no umbrella. I mean, really. But right now, Ramirez trying to behave like a champion, which he's been at cruiserweight. And he's, you know, he's trying to fight fire with fire. I don't know how that's going to work out, but he is going to the body of Benavidez. You know, he is coming back this round the best that he can, showing the heart of a champion. There's no doubt about that. He better not stop in front of me. He better not stand straight up, because that's when the hand speed and the combinations of Benavidez does its worst, is when he stands in front of him, puts the earmuffs on, and just stands there. You cannot do that with a guy as explosive, as fast-handed, who puts together 6 punches at a time. You can't do that with that kind of guy. You can't do that. This is what he can't do. He can't stand with the earmuffs on right in front of him. He's got to be in, working the body, trying to push him back a little bit, keep him defensive like he's doing now, use the uppercut, which he just did. Some good work by Ramirez there. I'm at 1 minute now. Ramirez is having a really good comeback round. You got to give him a lot of credit. I was worried about his body language. I was worried about where he was mentally. But you know what? He was where he needs to be, reminding himself that he's a champion. And when you're a champion, you can always behave like one.
Absolutely. He's biting down. He's showing that championship heart, but I feel like there's a burst still to come before this round ends.
There's a lot of bursts to come in this fight from Benavidez. See, for me, if I'm in a corner, I'm telling, and his father doesn't need my help. He does a great job. But I'm telling him what I said earlier. And I think that's what set up the explosion. Benavidez has the option that Ramirez doesn't have. He's got the option of doing good work on the outside. He's got the hand speed to do it. He's got the length of the jab. He's got the straight right hand against the southpaw. He's got the ability to have a second dimension, to open him up on the outside. Ramirez has one dimension for the most part in this fight: to be in close, to be in tight, to work the body, to back up Benavidez, to try to keep him on his heels so he's not set to punch, move his head, do some counter punching in close. But he doesn't really have the option of the outside the way Benavidez. So for me, if I'm Benavidez, I'm taking advantage of the outside. There's a good right hand landed by Benavidez there. Real nice right hand. If I'm Benavidez, I'm taking advantage of both places. The other guy can only do his stuff in one place. I'm going to do my stuff in two places. I'm going to work on the outside, which he's doing right now, which I think the father probably told him exactly what I would have looked to do. Control him on the outside, show him that you have that dimension, you have that option, you have that advantage. Set up the straight right hand with your jab. And then when you have to go inside again, you go inside again. But you do it after opening it up a little bit on the outside. And by discouraging him, maybe a little bit on the outside. Because you know what you put in his head? You want to put negative things in his head. This is what you put in his head. I can't beat the guy on the outside with his jab and his straight right hand. And then when he gets inside, he gets the better of me. You hit him with that double whammy from a mental standpoint. Benavidez now gave up the outside. He's going back inside, which he knows he can be explosive. He just tried to land a sneaky left hand. That's where he's really, really clever and dangerous, Benavidez. He suddenly opens up with a real short, sharp punch, real short, snappy punch on the inside, like that uppercut, like that left hand on top. He's really good at that, bud. The uppercut again. And look, give Ramirez credit. He's the turtle. He's the tortoise. He just keeps trying to go. He keeps trying to go. And he's trying to back up Benavidez and push him back where he's not set to get power. I see what he's trying to do. But Benavidez is so explosive and so smart. Again, he's looking, he's seeing stuff, he's playing defense, and then bang, a hard uppercut. Bang, a hard left hand up top. And look where Benavidez is. He's in the southpaw position. So he's showing another dimension on the inside.
These uppercuts are getting brutal that Ramirez is eating. Some damage and swelling you see over that right eye of Ramirez.
Yeah, and he's only halfway through.
Yeah, not even yet. I still have 30 seconds, round 6 here. But what you're saying, bud, is so true. The IQ of Benavidez. I was thinking earlier with Timmy in here, Tim Bradley, you used to always tell him, be a smart monster. That's what Benavidez is. He's a smart monster.
You heard him. He might have broke his nose.
He might have broke a lot of things so far. Look at this. My goodness.
Put his mouthpiece out. I think
he took a knee.
Yeah. He shook his head. I saw him shake.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's the eye we just touched on. He's holding that right eye. That's it. No mas.
He could have broke the orbital bone. I mean,
made him quit.
So explosive. He spit his mouthpiece out before that. He's so explosive. Wow. He really is.
What a statement, bud. Wow. You talk about pound for pound list, and 2 of your guys in the top 10 fought today. I think Benavidez is moving on up after this one.
Yeah,
I can already hear it.
He's got the attitude to fight anyone. Give him credit. And
he really does. And that's what everybody's going to say. What's next? I could already see it in the chat. Ja's too much. Ja's too big. I don't think Benavidez is afraid of anybody. That'd be another hell of a matchup. I don't know if it gets done with Ja being with Zuffa right now. Benavidez, maybe he goes back down to light heavyweight if he could get Bivol, if he could get better Beef.
That always scares me when a guy goes up and, he puts on muscle. I mean, he's not fat. I always worry, kind of like with Roy Jones. I never thought Roy Jones was the same after he went up and put the muscle on to fight John Ruiz, to win the heavyweight, one of those heavyweight belts at heavyweight. Then he went back down. I never thought he was quite the same fighter. Now, maybe it was Father Time catching up to him, his reflexes slowing down, fighting better fighters with Tarver and guys like that. Maybe that was part of it. But I always thought that going up in the weight and coming down hurt him. And there you see the replay. Exactly what I was talking about earlier. Opening up with those fast, explosive punches and then placing a hard punch. And that's what he was doing. He placed the left hook, the right hand. He very fast, very explosive, and he placed those shots. He doesn't get enough credit for his vision, he's got good eyes, and his intellect. He's very smart in there. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to set up his punches. He knows what punches to set up, when to set them up. He knows when to use his speed, when to use his power. The guy is a really solid, good fighter. Him and his father make a good team. And again, the one thing I would worry, Bud, if he goes back to light heavyweight, does he hurt himself in that area of losing the weight, where it could hurt him? It's hurt other fighters. I've seen fighters go up in the weight, come down, and never quite perform the same. So that would be one of the things I'd be concerned about. But I don't know that you want to stay up at this weight either, because first of all, where's the, he's looking for the biggest money fights. Opataya would be one, but if you're not with the same promoter, it's hard to make those fights, except if Turkey Al-Sheikh gets involved, which he is. He can put money up to make any fight. He can make anybody walk across the street.
Can he make Canelo? Can he make him do that? Because nobody's been able to make that, because that's not going away. Benavidez still wants that. He'll kill himself and get down to whatever weight, I'm sure, if he could get that one.
I don't know that Canelo, and I'm not saying Canelo's afraid of anybody. He's been a tremendous champion. But I don't know that Canelo at this point in his career wants that or thinks that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or needs it. Maybe that's the best way to say it. Needs it. There's the eye that got closed.
The light heavyweight money guys were talking about it getting older, and Ja makes a lot of sense after seeing this at cruiserweight. Matt Borgeson saying after that impressive win, is it crazy? Could he go to heavyweight?
Well, I was going to say that actually, that his, he's, I don't know, you're going to laugh. I don't know how big his feet are, because that tells how big a guy could be to a certain point. But he does have a frame that obviously had no trouble going up to cruiserweight. He's always looking for a challenge. He's not afraid of any challenge. Obviously, everyone wants the biggest fights, the most, the biggest money, the fights that are going to bring you the most attention, the most fame, the most success, give you the greatest legacy you can have. And I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I don't think you want to fight one of these gargantuan guys, but let's remember now, Usyk was a cruiserweight before he moved up to heavyweight. Usyk was the unified cruiserweight champion. Benavidez is the cruiserweight champ now. Would it be such a reach and so outrageous to see Benavidez with his confidence, with his success, with his undefeated record, with his attitude, with his frame? Would it be, crazy to see him want to go up to heavyweight to pick the right spot? No, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be crazy.
Yeah, it's very interesting stuff. I personally would love to see him against the only guy to beat Ramirez before this fight, which was Dimitri Bivol. And he'll be coming back the end of the month versus the #1 IBF contender, Michael Eifert. But if he gets past that, maybe that could be one that could be made. I know Beterbiev's waiting, though. He won't retire till he gets part 3.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Well, we're always fully transparent. This was the one loss. We liked Benavidez. You favored Benavidez, but we were not laying the -500 wood. Took him by a points decision. 3 out of 4 today on the fight picks. Not too shabby.
No, we got 3 out of 4. I wish we would have 4 out of 4. I always feel like I'm letting people down. I don't want anyone, I never want to influence people to gamble. Please understand that. We do this. We know gambling's out there in the culture. We get that. We understand that. We put out the reports. If you're gonna gamble, gamble responsibly. and hopefully I give you with the reports information that gives you, that gives you hopefully the, a little bit of an edge, the ability to make to make a, a, a choice, have all the information to make uh, the best choice you can make. It's still gambling. Nobody can get that perfect. Nobody. The casinos ain't getting no smaller because people are winning. The bookmakers. I have never seen a bookmaker go out of business. Uh, so there's always an edge to the book, but I just do it because it's out there. It's something that people want. But I always say, if you do bet, bet responsibly, and you don't have to bet. Just read my reports, and I would hope that you learn something. I would hope that it makes your watching of the fight more enjoyable because you can have something you can look for. Like if you just read the reports on this one, for example, you would have seen that he's explosive. He fights in spurts. There was a question, can Ramirez survive those spurts? Ramirez is a slow starter. Those things aren't there only for information to bet. They're information for you to just be better prepared to watch the fight. And I would hope that it makes your watching more enjoyable. But again, I always feel pressure when I do these things because I just, I don't want to let anyone down. But we did get 3 out of 4 today.
Well, when you win over 70% of the fights and give great value at that, it's hard to let people down. You've been doing an amazing job. This is over 7 months, going on 8 months now of consistency, putting in the work. And it's so much more at the ropes, TeddyHouseBoxing.com, than fight picks, right? We do Zooms just like these, but on Zoom, Fight Companions, private Teddy's commentary. We do weekly tips, we do chats. There's a lot there. So if you guys can, take a look, check it out. And before we sign off, Bud, um, next week we're gonna be back here, YouTube, and we're gonna be here, the Fight with Teddy Atlas, live streaming Fight Companion, Wardley and Dubois. Should be another one with some fireworks in the UK.
Yeah, that's an interesting fight. That's a real, both guys are punches. They both get hit with the punch that is their best punch, right hands. They both get hit with those punches. Uh, Wardley's in a better mental place. We don't know where Dubois is coming off his knockout loss to Usyk, but he's been in that position before. He's been down before. And then he came back and ran off 3 straight wins and won the heavyweight title, knocked out Joshua in a huge fight, in a huge upset. So he has shown the ability to come back. He is a banger. It might be the kind of fight that whoever hits who first might be the guy, having his hand raised. It's a very interesting fight. But Wardley is quite a story. Quite a story. I mean, the guy's got power in the right hand. He's got a great chin. He's got great heart. And he had basically no amateur fights. And he's gotten to this level, which is unheard of, with no amateur experience. So it should be a very, very interesting fight. And right now, he's on a magic carpet ride, Yardley. He really is.
Wardley.
Wardley, I'm sorry. He's on a magic carpet ride. He's been pulling fights out of the fire just in an extraordinary way.
Yeah, I'm with you, but it's a tough one to call for me. I don't know. That magic, as you said, it just keeps going. Dubois coming off of a KO loss to Usyk. How does he respond mentally? It's going to be a fun one. Under over is 8.5 rounds. Vegas expecting a knockout and some fireworks, like we said, for that one. So we'll be back next week for that. That'll be a lot of fun. We're also at the ropes going to have a fight pick for the Angelo Leo fight next week versus Salim. And then there's a lot more, bud. The following week until the end of May, with Mr. Usyk making his return to the ring. So that'll be in Egypt at the pyramids.
Yeah. and that's against the kickboxer who's a famous kickboxer.
Verhoeven.
I don't expect that to be very competitive, quite frankly. But if anyone deserves a possible layup, Usyk has earned that, so I don't begrudge him at all. But we'll see if we'll see whether or not it is a freebie, a gift. But I think it's really in the hands of Usyk what his attitude is in this fight. Does he go in there, the way he usually does to do business? That's the only thing he knows, and get rid of this guy when he has a chance to get rid of him, or does he possibly go in there and do a little work? I don't know. I don't know that that's even in his wheelhouse to think that way, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm watching Benavidez in the ring, bud, and how great to see his son's hand on his arm, how proud he is. And it's beautiful with that family.
That is beautiful. That
Yeah,
really is.
Matt just said he even impressed Chavez tonight. Iconic performance. That really was one of the most impressive performances I've seen.
Yeah, he was impressive. He was everything that I think I wrote in the report that he could be. Explosive. Definitely what showed was his hand speed advantage, and he had more pop on his punches. And what made him so dangerous, and always does, is his ability to just do those rain bursts, those cloud bursts of punches. And then he took it a step further this time that I talked about during the fight. That when you blitz the guy with those fast punches, almost like a shoe shine, except instead of low, it's high. When you explode those punches, while the guy is, dazed by those, then you place a punch. And he did that. He placed the uppercut, he placed the right hand, he placed the left hook. He did it with speed, he did it with power. He was awesome. He really was. And
He was awesome, and you were awesome. And a lot of the chat is saying that they appreciate having your commentary and appreciate you putting in the time from this morning to tonight and the sacrifice that goes with it. And we appreciate all you guys for being with us, for supporting us. The best way to support us, guys, hit that like button. Take a look at our sponsors. And we really do appreciate all you guys. We still got a decent amount of people with us, but here in the chat, we could field a few more questions, and then we'll finally let you sign off, bud, because we are going to knock out the podcast, which we will air on our YouTube channel here, The Fight with Teddy Atlas, on Monday morning.
yeah, fire away. I answer your questions for sure. You guys are here for us. We're here for you.
Yeah, we must have some Staten Islanders in the chat. I see Earl Reynolds saying, I'll be at the cookie jar. I don't know.
The Cookie Jar. It's a place on Forest Avenue. It's a bakery with Cake Chef, and they make good cookies. They're probably the best bakery on Staten Island. And but I haven't been in there recently. You know why, Bud? I'm on a diet. No cookies right now.
You don't even really eat the cookies. You're in there all the time buying them to give them out to people that you care about as gifts. But yeah, you're not really the cookie monster, are you?
No, I've been slowing down. I'm trying to lose some weight. You know, I want to look like Tim Bradley one day.
Yeah, the people in the arena and people in the chat are saying Canelo who? And Nuyo Rakan Flava said Teddy is cutting weight, getting back down.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna
Hey,
try. And
when
I
you cut down and you get in shape, sometimes that means a comeback. Are you telling me you're thinking something I'm not aware of right now?
nobody wants me to make a comeback. You gotta be wanted. I don't
That's
think
not true. You're being
people.
humble. I know I'm not going to name names, but I know some current guys that want you right now, and those are some special guys. So that's not true, but that's you just being your humble self. We got to here. I'll throw a few more questions and we'll sign off here because it has been a long one. And again, we are going to record a podcast after this. Let me just hit a few, bud, quick ones.
Of course. We're
Let's see
here
what
for the
we got.
people. Like I said, they're here with us. We're here with them.
If there was a Canelo Benavidez, Rob Parquette's asking for a prediction breakdown. It's hard to really say that. Where are they fighting? I assume, let's say 168.
I don't like him going down in weight. I would not want Benavidez to do that. I knew he would have did it a couple of years ago when he felt he had to get that Canelo fight. He don't have to now. He's moved beyond that. He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to take that risk. He'd do anything back then to get that fight, to get that notoriety, to get that, to get that stage. And I admire him for it. But I would not advise him to now go chase, if he had to, chase Canelo down to 168. I just wouldn't. I don't think it would be good for him to do that. And at this point, the lowest I would go would be possibly light heavyweight if that fight could be made, because Canelo has fought at light heavyweight, so he could go back to light heavyweight, obviously, and Benavidez could go back to light heavyweight. That would be the lowest I would go. I would not go down to make that fight. But right now, I don't know that, as much as it's not necessary for him to go down to 168, him being Benavidez, doesn't make sense. You don't have to. I don't think it makes sense for Canelo right now to really, at this stage in his career, to have to be, putting himself in a position. If he does, hey, great fighters, they do great things. But at this point in his career, I don't know that the most beneficial move for him would be to go look to fight Benavidez right now.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm
We
not
got
saying he's afraid of him. I'm not saying he don't have a chance. I'm not saying any of those things. But at this point in his career, with Benavidez being at his very max prime and maybe getting better, I don't know that Canelo starting to get a little longer in the tooth. I don't know that it makes sense.
No, that makes sense what you just said. I'm laughing in the chat here. We must have some Staten Island love in here tonight because some people are saying, "Hey, can I come over and stay at one of your rooms in your beautiful house there?" But Tim P said, Tim P 247, before the Wu-Tang Clan, there was Teddy. Um, Talking about that room in your house, Alejandro's asking, "What's your favorite piece of memorabilia that you have at home there?" That's a tough one. There's so many good ones.
A picture I'm looking at right now. Can you get that for me, Richie? A picture I'm looking at right now. This is spontaneous. You asked, right? Of right here. I didn't think I'd be doing this, but this right here.
Ah, there he is, the two firemen. I don't know if Timmy's still with us, but if he is, I'm sure he's smiling as I am seeing that picture. That's a great shot. Now look at that. That's a genuine, beautiful smile by both of you guys.
Thanks, Rich.
And you got the fireman's shirt right over your right shoulder, couple over.
I have a lot of listen. I have a Roberto Duran corner jacket that the great late Ray Arcel, one of the great trainers in the history of the sport, wore for every one of Roberto. Rich, can you show it over there? Can you do that? Is that too much to ask? Uh, um, it's the corner jacket that Ray Arcel wore for every one of Roberto Duran's lightweight title defenses. Every one of them. And that's when Duran was at his best as a lightweight. One of the great lightweights of all time. That is the corner jacket that his trainer Ray Arcel wore in every one of his title defenses. So that's pretty special. And there's another special one. My mentor, my surrogate father, in a way, I guess is fair to say, Customato, with Floyd Patterson. Somebody asked about Floyd Patterson earlier as an underrated fighter. He was a great fighter, a great champion, and a great gentleman too. There's Customato, my guy, in the corner with Floyd Patterson. So those are a couple, I would say those, a couple of the special things that there's a lot of them, but
Oh,
those,
there's so many. Those are great ones. You talked about Ray Arcel in that corner jacket. I remember Ray Arcel's wife also had given you his stopwatch, but I
I
love the
still
one
have
your head's blocking right now, but how about Jack Johnson sitting behind your autograph?
that's a special one too. That first black heavyweight champ of all time, that is his autograph. It was in the 1920s, and that's his signature on this. Can here it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, we could see it. I
That's
believe that autograph that you're pointing to there from Jack Johnson's around, you could see it better than I can. It's that 1918, 1916.
yeah. It's I had the date wrong. I'm sorry. Way off. Wow, way off. It's on December 26th when he won the heavyweight title, 1908.
Oh, wow. It's Samsonite.
It's signed by Jack Johnson.
Yeah, they got some great ones in there.
Yeah, and one other one, as long as we're at it, Richie, show Michael Mora when we won the heavyweight title against Holyfield. That reminds me of what I just saw, and it touches me. It really does, because it reminds me of what I just saw with Benavidez with his beautiful son with him in the ring. When we won the title against Holyfield that night, you were not much bigger than Benavidez' son, and you were in the ring with me and your sister, my daughter Nicole, and that was one of the greatest moments of my life. Having you guys with me in the ring after the fight, I'll never forget that. Um, that makes everything worthwhile.
Yeah, 1994, April 22nd. I definitely will never forget that. And hope Double M is doing well. And you talk about Benavidez going from 175 now to cruiserweight. Who knows where he ends? Michael was a great light heavyweight. A lot of people don't realize that before he became the heavyweight champion, the first Southpaw heavyweight champion in the history of the game.
Yeah, and he was a great puncher. He was undefeated as a light heavyweight, all knockouts. He was a destroying machine, so to speak. Um,
Absolutely.
I'll show you
Well,
one more. Show that one over there, Rich, if you can. That's when I was still fighting. I got a blackout here. I didn't move my head, but that's with Customato up in the Catskill gym, and I just finished a sparring session with the guy to my left, Kenny Zimmer, who went on to be a referee, a professional referee, a good fighter. I just finished sparring with him. I had just won the Gold Gloves up in the Adirondacks, and some people from Staten Island came up to watch me work out. And of course, you see Customato there.
that's a legendary photo there. As so many are. And it, we could be doing this all day, but with the collection you have there, you have been on this all day long. So I'm finally gonna allow you to get a break and sign off before we knock out the podcast. Just want to thank everybody again for being with us. Want to thank you, Bud, and why don't you close us down?
You guys give love, put out a little love for. We appreciate you guys. We show our love. If you do show love to us, show it to my son. He deserves it more than me. I got to be honest. He puts in a lot more work than I do. He puts in. You guys have no idea. He put together this ropes. He is putting social media stuff all the time, doing promotion for all the fights, whether it's live streaming, whether it's podcasts, whatever it is, all the time. So if you show love, show to him more than me. But we appreciate all of you. I was very happy that Timmy Bradley was with us. That kind of made my night. And we hope to see you guys next week and every week when we do the live stream. And of course, with the podcast. Monday we'll be up as usual. My son will be up before the sun rises to get it up on Monday morning, because he's on the West Coast and he gets up very early to get it up. It usually gets up by 9 o'clock East Coast time. And again, thank you guys for being with us. Stay safe, be good to each other, and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. See you guys again soon.